Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Couples Chronicles with your boy Lloyd.
And Afia.
All right, today we got some fire topics, fire chronicles for you today. I think I'm gonna start it off. We had a similar question like this in one of our early episodes, but I think it's what's more important, sex or love? Today we thought about, another topic or another comparison. What's more important in a relationship, respect or love?
First of all, I feel like the two go hand in hand.
Nah, I think it's different. Sex and love and respect. Oh, you mean respect and love?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
What's the relationship without either one?
True, but which one is still more important? Which one would you rather have?
I don't want either one without the other.
Okay. Explain why.
I don't want a relationship that doesn't have love, and I don't want a relationship that doesn't have respect. Because you can love me all day and night, but if you don't respect me, like, what are we actually doing? Because if you don't respect me, that affects like how you speak to me, how you address me. You know, it affects our communication. It affects even like our physical intimacy. Like, I can't be physically intimate with somebody that doesn't have respect for me.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but for the sake of the argument, or the chronicle, we don't like to argue on here. I'm gonna go back. I like to draw from way back. So I had this ex-girlfriend in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess this was on the part where we was about to break up, I guess, or we was shaky or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember her mother coming to us and saying, guys, one of the things that you don't want to do is like curse at each other.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the respect is gone, the relationship is over.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that's to each his own because no disrespect to my mama, but my mother has cursed out my daddy many a time.
No, I mean like actually not cursed out, actually cursed. When you start using curse words.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. We talking about the same thing. And like, obviously, like what works in every relationship looks a lot different. But I'm telling you, in my home, the house that I grew up in, and obviously it looks a lot different for you, but my mom used to curse my daddy out and,
And
then they would make up.
Remind the audience how long they've been together?
36 years.
So even with the curse words, it still survived. Well, to answer the question on my part, I think I would take. So there's different levels of love. What I think respect is more important in a relationship because I think there's a lot of people that's together that's still not in love with each other.
Yeah, but I could respect my friend. I could respect my boss. I could respect my family
Yeah,
member.
but you're not in a relationship or every day with these people.
Exactly.
So what I mean for me, like I would one thing I don't like to, I don't want to say sound like a boss, well, I won't say tolerate, but one thing I try not to tolerate in any relationship that I've been in or we haven't even experienced that is the cursing and like hitting.
Yeah, I mean,
because so for me there's steps in the relationship. If we're in a bad space in our relationship and it starts with arguing, then when curse words come, we try to be like, okay, now you're cursing me, you get into there. Then it might start into like throwing things at me. And then later on it's gonna evolve to then hitting. It's gonna lead to hitting. So when I see the cursing, I could kind of like try to check. Not, again, I'm using these words what makes me come off like, but what I'm saying, we could try to correct or rectify or address that issue.
right.
Because you might be angered and a lot of people say wild stuff when they're angry. So I could be like,
I mean, come on, don't drag it. Sometimes people need a good cursing out. Like sometimes
I don't think I've
like-
ever, in any relationship, but I'm gonna talk about you. I don't think I've ever, like we might have cursed in an argument, but I have never cursed at you.
Yeah.
Like I've never said F you,
yeah.
this or called you out your
because
name.
that's disrespectful. Absolutely.
So my point. So for me, let's say we doing all these things because there's people like you said that love each other to death, but they disrespecting their partner so much.
Yeah, but some people like that toxic.
So then I don't think it's healthy, but that's the level.
Like people like that. Some people are attracted by that, and some people it's like, oh my god, he cursed me out, I cursed him out, and we had the best sex ever. Like honestly, some people like that. Like
we're going back into sex.
I think right, like you operate from a very healthy space in a relationship, but there are people that are really attracted to toxic relationships, and they'll be like, "What is it about him?"
And
like,
again,
he's
for
toxic.
each his own. But we're talking about healthy relationships.
All right, healthy relationship. But you can't lie. Like some people like that toxic.
I do. I've known people that just like to argue to make up sex.
I'm
like
telling
you said, but
like it's a thing. Makeup sex wouldn't be a thing if
I don't like to play those games.
Yeah.
Like those games get too. So again, like I said, so you're saying that You want both.
I want both. It's a deal breaker.
See,
Not. I don't want.
I'm trying to pull.
I
things out
don't.
of
Yeah. I don't want one without the other because.
Which one do you think is more
honestly-
important then? I won't say what you take one or the other. Which one do you think is more important?
I'm gonna go with respect.
There we go. See, that's
Yeah.
all. That's
Because I'm
that's
thinking
what I'm
about
at.
it, especially me. Like I'm such a strong individual. Like the moment you come out your face at me,
Disrespect, yeah,
like the
it's like-
disrespect, like I'm coming back. Like I'm coming back 10 times as hard. So, like, and to think like there's only but so much disrespect that
Person can take.
a person can take in a relationship before they walk away. And that fuse for me is very short. Like one thing, we've been married for years now, and I think, you do a great job at, maintaining the respect. And you've even taught me, how to show you respect, to be honest with you. Because like I said, a lot of times how we grow up and what we see, we bring to our relationship. So I feel like you even showing me how you want to be loved has allowed me to learn something different and say, okay, well, my husband doesn't respond well to being cursed at, or he doesn't respond well to, not feeling like he's respected. And so it's allowed me to kind of take a step back and say, okay, making sure that even when I am upset, making sure that I'm communicating with you in a certain way.
I'm winning, guys. You see that? You see that? We winning. No, but like that. But I agree with you in those sentiments, and I too also, if you didn't get my point, I believe that respect.
Yeah, because you could
is
love
more
me all
important.
day. I'm thinking about it. What's that new show we were watching? Dang, is it Reasonable Doubt? Yeah,
That's-
definitely Reasonable Doubt. And the football player, he loved her too. He was
I don't know
gluing
if
her.
he loved her,
But he
man.
made it seem, right? But and
Okay.
also to love, for everybody looks a lot different. And what somebody would deem as love looks different for everybody. So in their particular case, I'm sure he thought he loved her. And whether that was in a toxic way and an unhealthy way, I'm sure. Obviously, that's the way it came across in the show. But I'm sure in his mind, in some people's mind, in some people's unhealthy relationship, they think that they do love their partner, despite the fact that they don't respect them.
I agree with you.
You understand? So I think for me, no. Like I need both, right? Because I respect the people I work with. I respect my family. I respect my friends. But, I'm not in a relationship with them, nor do I want to be in a relationship with them. Like I need both. I also want, if you guys haven't learned this about me from last week's episode, like, I'm a lover. I believe in romantic comedies. I'm a helpless romantic. I'm sure you guys have learned that about me by now. But I want my partner to love me. I really like that love and affection and, holding me from behind, kissing me on the neck. Like I'm used to that affection and I like that affection. I think that's why, I believe in it so much. So it's important for me to.
She's still working on me with that.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Oh, 100%.
I'm affectionate. I'm just not overly affectionate.
And I'm used to like overly affectionate people. That it sounds weird, but like my son, I think that's why like I'm so obsessed with him because he's so overly affectionate. Like
I know, man. He be making me look bad.
100%. My son makes my husband look bad every day. Like he tells me I look beautiful before I even like finish my hair or
As
makeup.
soon as she walk out the door,
they're
he's like, "Mommy,
"Mom,
you
you
look
look so
beautiful."
beautiful.
He's 3. I'm like, damn, you didn't even give me a chance to even. It's a rep.
Yeah, and I have to remind him to give me a compliment. Like, hello, I just spent like the last hour getting ready. How much money did I spend on an outfit? Did you not notice me? But my son, like, he notices me like the smallest things. If I change my earrings, he notices me. Yesterday, he told me, "Mommy, you smell so good," and I'm like, damn, I don't know if my husband ever told me I smell good.
Yeah, my God, he killed him.
He did. My son, he's very loving and affectionate, but I would like a relationship that has both. I think it's very important to me.
Well, I hope everybody out there is getting both. Sorry. If you're not, let us know which one you think. I know you guys always do.
Yeah.
Let's take them to the next chronicle. Let's go.
Okay. We are diving into, are men really afraid of marriage or are they afraid of who they're married to?
Good question. Good question. So there's I'm gonna tackle this one first. So I won't even call it. There's this thing, I won't even call it a thing, right? But I think it's true still. But people are saying that men are afraid of marriage or men don't want to get married these days, right? And first of all, I think it's people don't want to get married these days. But I think outside of the last, like, let's call it 5 years or so, where women have kind of joined the masses of the group, there was a stigma that men don't want to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And although I agree with that stigma, or I've seen a lot of that stigma, I do think that it's more, I think for men, it's more of they're afraid of who they're marrying
Mm,
rather than actually getting married.
mm.
Um, we've seen in the past, different people, break up with people and then they get married to the next person
All the time.
after being with them. So I don't think the fear is
Marriage.
marriage. I think it's the fear of, I think we've had this conversation off air, like who you're marrying to. Like once you're faced with, I have to deal with this for a lifetime,
Yeah.
it gets real.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, can I deal with this? Like,
Forever.
so for me, one of the one of the first things, and I suggest everyone do this. One of the first conversations I have when I'm, well, not now, obviously I'm married, guys, but before when we were dating and we have our first little conversations, people like to talk about what do you do, how much money you make, what are your goals, what are your aspirations, all that's cool. I usually like to ask this question: what are your worst traits, or what haven't worked in your past relationships? What have you been told from your past partners on why the relationship didn't work? What's your bad qualities? I want to know your worst.
But you know what's so funny is that I feel like what your worst looks different for everybody. And
I can only ask.
Right. And then like also like what my worst is for me is perceived differently
By the
as
other person.
right. And
Gotcha.
something that I might not think is that big of a deal might be the end of the world for you. Right.
Gotcha.
And so, like I said, for me, I'm just gonna use me, right? Like I like to curse. And it's so funny because I won't even say
I don't even know if I got that.
I don't
like,
even know, like,
you're
I don't-
spicy, but I don't
Right.
think you're rude.
no, I'm not
Yeah,
rude.
yeah,
No, I'm not rude. But I like my sentences a little flavored, right? And even my mom tells me all the time. My mom will give me a million compliments, but she tells me all the time, Afia, you curse all the time. And I think it's just like, just an expression. I think,
I agree with you.
I think it's just right. But it's like you said, I'm not rude or anything. But for you, somebody that, doesn't take well to cursing, it made me feel like, damn, like it's like the worst thing in the world, right? And so for somebody else that I may have dated previous to you, of course, like cursing might not be the end of the world because they might curse, right? But for somebody that doesn't take well to cursing, for you, it might really be the end of the world. And it might be like, she curses. Same thing with smoking, right? Like, I mean, neither one of us really smoke, but imagine I don't like people that smoke cigarettes. I don't like people that smoke weed, whatever, right? Like that might be the end of the world to me. And now I'm like, you smoke, I can't date you. I can't marry you because I don't care for smoking. And it's like a turnoff. So with somebody, what we each deem as this drastic, turnoff or worst quality or worst trait as you deem,
Mhm.
Looks and feels a lot different for everyone.
Yeah, so again, I'm gonna go back to my point. I think you guys out there, that's the questions y'all need to be asking. Like, what's your worst
But
trait?
nobody's gonna tell you,
So that's my point.
nobody's
I was
gonna
coming
tell
too.
you like
I
what
do.
their
I
worst.
tell the truth. I mean, I was.
But
Again,
like, I might not think me cursing is the worst thing in the world.
so that's why I said.
And honestly, like I've watched interviews with other people that I look up to, and in the interview they're cursing, and it's like it draws me into. I feel that much more connected to them. I'm like, oh, you too, like.
Well, at least you give me some type of idea of what you think
But
is
like,
wrong with you, and you could work on those.
but
things.
you said wrong with you. What I'm saying, if you asked me
For
that
lack of better
question,
word.
I would
did ask
never.
I did ask you
right,
that
but I
question.
would have never. I'm positive I didn't respond and say, oh, well, I
Let me ask
cursed.
you it right now on camera. Since we don't remember, and I'll do the same.
Yeah.
What is your worst quality? What have you heard, or what do you feel? That's why I asked two. I said two different ways. I asked, what have you heard from your past relationships is your worst quality, or what do you think is your worst quality?
I don't know. I wonder. I have to. I don't think I've asked this question to people that I've dated in the past. So I can't.
But they always, you can hear it. You can like they'll
Literally,
say
like,
they'll complain about the same things.
No, they didn't. Like,
So what did you lie and tell me when we first started dating?
I don't know.
You don't know? I remember what I told you.
I really don't remember what I told you, but I don't know. Like, one of my exes, he broke up with me because he said I had expectations of him that he couldn't fulfill, and I thought like. It's funny looking back on the relationship. That was so true. Like it was so true. Like it was just like he couldn't, do what I wanted him to do for me at that time. I don't talk to him now, but it's true. That was his truth. It wasn't anything with me. he probably would have tried to marry me. But baby was like, nah,
Let me do
that's
this
not
first.
fair.
So what used to be my worst quality is my nonchalantness.
Yeah, you still are nonchalant.
I used to
yeah.
get complaints
You're a lot better now.
about
though.
all
yeah,
my
yeah,
exes that
true.
I'm nonchalant. So I had to take a step back
Yeah.
and really see. And my nonchalantness, I think I've talked to my mom, I've talked to you, exes or whatever. I think it's a self what is it? What you call it? Like defense.
Oh, self-defense. Okay.
Like for myself to not get hurt.
Yeah.
So rather than invest in myself in the relationship so that I do get hurt, I kind of like
take a step back.
Take a step back and prevent me from getting. I'm married now, so. But I've the second thing I was told was I'm not expressive. Like I don't explain. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I am.
That goes back to the
words.
affection.
Yeah, I'm good with words.
And I think also having a son has like helped.
Soften me?
Oh, 100. It's not even soft. Yeah, I will say okay, soften, because I'm like I do think seeing you as a parent and like, I think Cairo is working on your heart. Yes. Your affection, 100%. I think, especially because our son is so loving. Like he's like, you're gonna love on me. Like he's like demands. Yes, he forces. Yes, he forces you to love him. So I think that's really good for you.
All right. So to clear up for my men,
I know, right? I'm like,
we got off topic.
I feel like we got off topic.
No, I'm pulling it back. So I don't really think that men are afraid of marriage. I think they're more afraid of who they're marrying or who they have to try to spend the rest of their life with. They're like, hold up, can I deal with the cursing? I'm just referencing. Can I deal with the non-cooking? Can I deal with?
First of all, let's clarify that he's not talking about me, guys, because I feel like the way TikTok be coming for me. Okay, you need to clarify.
I'm not talking about
you gotta be very specific with these people. She cooks, she cleans, she keeps my bowls empty.
Oh my God. Here we go.
Like you gotta clarify.
I didn't tell her to say that. That's your own
You gotta
daughter.
clarify for these people, okay? Because the internet, they like to be in uproar.
Yeah, because we always see like I think this is gonna be one of our later topics, and maybe we just transition from that to this, right? I think we are, but go ahead.
Before we change topics,
I'm not changing. It's still this topic, but I think it transitions. But go ahead.
I think to answer your question, I agree with you. I do agree with you that I don't know. Like you can really be dating somebody for 10 years and then they don't propose, they don't get married.
Nah, you're trying
to talk them into marriage, and then they date the next person for 3 months, and it's like they're on one knee, and you're trying to understand where you went wrong. But I do agree with you that it is the person, and that's why I don't feel like you should try and. I think if he don't want to get married or his mind.
See, this is why we married. I swear to God, that's my thoughts in my head right now. I was gonna say, ladies, don't try to force a man to get married. A man is gonna propose when he wanna propose.
Yeah.
If you're not okay with that time frame, then you exit yourself. You make the decision to exit yourself. If you think it's not worth the wait. But first of all, I think people gonna do what they want to do. I'm gonna do what Lloyd gonna do. And my mama tell you that Lloyd is gonna do what Lloyd want to do.
Yeah.
But in general, stop. I won't say don't apply pressure, right? Because sometimes you do need to give a man. I'm talking in a man perspective, a little nudge or some signs. But yeah, after 10 years, give yourself a time frame. I think we tackle this.
10 years?
I'm just saying. I'm not saying that's the time frame. I'm saying give yourself a time frame. But don't try to force him or anything. He gonna do what he want to do.
Absolutely. I feel like I said, I have seen men date the wrong person for 5 to 10 years, and then they turn around and marry.
Waste their time.
Literally, and I always say, don't let these men waste your time. Like my mom has always told me, Afia, like you're the diamond, you're a jewel, and I'm sorry to bring up the Bible, but the Bible says a man findeth.
They know we're Christians.
Right? The man findeth a good thing, right?
Yeah,
so I believe that. I do feel like, whether it takes work on both of our sides, he's going to see the value. He's going to realize that he has something rare, and he's going to propose. He's going to want to get married.
Okay, so I think sorry, let me get this ice down. I think it goes right into our next, that wasn't the way we was going to do, but that goes into our next topic. So I know you guys, you have friends out there that, that have been together for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. They're dating, happy. And then they get married.
Divorced
and then they're divorced the next year.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I-
I think this one gonna be. I want to know because it
I-
always happens.
I really do genuinely think that it's the idea of forever.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, when you're engaged or when you're dating and your boyfriend and girlfriend, like that concept of forever to death do us part, it seems so, you know, it just seems like an idea. I don't think it really
People
seems
say the words, but they don't really think about what that really means.
Like, I don't think that they really grasp the idea of what it truly means. And I think that kind of once they sign those papers, once they sign that marriage certificate, it really all sets in and it becomes their reality. And then when they get into quarrels and they get into feuds, they then stop and think, oh my God, can I deal with this for the rest of my life? And then I think they kind of become paranoid about it, right? Like it really it's like a thought that doesn't go away. And you start thinking like, oh my God, can I deal with this for the rest of my life? Like I can't. And it just makes people run.
So we're married. We've been married for 5 years, and I think we had another we have a lot of conversations. I don't know. We have a lot of conversations about a lot of different topics outside of the podcast, but we were married for 5 years, and I think we had this conversation like a couple of days ago. I think people fall in love with the idea of marriage, but don't really understand the sacrifice it takes to be married, the selflessness it takes to be married. So when you're dating, I always say there's a shift. When you're dating someone, there's a sense of laissez-faire, a sense of not so seriousness, even if you've been together for a long time, years.
There's a lightness.
It's a light. Yes, there you go. That's a better word.
Yeah.
There's a lightness in the relationship. Oh, I can still do what I want because I'm not. Don't tell me what to do because I'm not married. I'm not married. And people say that too, right? I ain't married. People say that very loosely as well too.
I've also seen women or heard women say, you know, casually, yeah, I'm seeing somebody. Like there's like a casual, and they've been together for 5 years.
But now that you're married and you see that, oh shit, I have to really consider this person's opinions. I really have to share my life, share my thoughts. All this stuff becomes, because again, they didn't really understand what that marriage embodies. And when they're faced with it, I think it's like a fight or flight type of situation.
Absolutely.
And because they're not equipped for that.
Fight for the fight.
And I always say, you know, we had this conversation again. I think what makes marriage works, or a relationship, right, is two people have to be fighting for that relationship.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only what's going. Not that one person don't want the other person, like, or two people, like, I mean, like, it has to be embedded in you. And for us, I think our parents are still married. So we've seen what it takes to have a long relationship or marriage. And we both hold those values, to heart. And that's the only way I think that'll work. And I really go this to say, I say this to say, I really think people don't really I think the idea, like I want to get, because especially in women, right? It's like in their head to like find a man, I want to get
like
married.
30, 35,
I want this princess
40,
wedding and da-da-da. I don't think parents talk to their kids enough. So it starts with parents, right? And I'm learning now, and I'm thinking about this now. So I need to have this conversation with Kyra, our son. I don't think we really tell them how to make this marriage work.
Yeah.
Because we also, which is sometimes good, we also mask a lot of the problems that we have from our kids, or we hide it.
Our parents shelter us from them.
So they don't see the work or whatever that happens.
I completely agree.
So it's this, like, again,
I feel like my parents thought about that when I got married too, because we just got married and they were like, wait. My parents, I was also very young, and it was like, wait, what's happening? And then I think they themselves actually reflected and realized that they coveted me from, I guess the hard part of marriage, right? Like I never really saw that. I saw one side of marriage for the most part. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough, right? Good enough for me to do it, right? For me to try it. But I think because of that, to your point, it's like, they don't really get the full image of the work that goes into it, the sacrifice that goes into it. And because of that, when it's their turn, they then don't have an idea, and they so most times end up walking away from a marriage.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you have to like try your thing, right?
You gotta go
can't
for it.
simulate a marriage
Right.
per se until
I mean, in some
until you get
cultures
it.
they do, but I get your point.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, some I don't. Not like that, but like, how can you simulate? I don't know if you can simulate like a marriage or what.
I mean, you
What
can say
that
I want
takes.
my marriage to be just like my
No,
mom's,
I know,
or
I
just
know, but
like
you can't like pretend marriage until
I
it's
feel
one of
like
those
people
things.
pretend all the time in marriages.
That's a
Like
different
I
situation.
know. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like they do, but it's just my thoughts.
So I'm gonna go again because we just had drinks and dinner lately. We always talking about different things. I'm a piggyback off that topic. I know, and she always like stay on script, but I always like to talk because it's good transitions. Why do you think celebrities separate so quickly all the time?
Oh, ego.
Their ego.
Absolutely. It's their
Explain.
ego. Because they feel like they don't have to compromise. We talk all the time
Because
about
of the money?
Yes. And because of who they are. Like 100%. Like it's like when you think that you're God's gift to earth and you're in a certain class, you carry yourself a certain way, you're in a certain stature and certain wealth, you're in a certain economic class, right? It's like, why compromise? I can have whoever I want. Why should I settle for you and I'm not happy, or I'm not happy in this moment, right? And I think a lot of times they walk away because unhappy moments turns into unhappy years or months, and now it's like, oh, I'm unhappy, I want to walk away.
I'm gonna make a lot of people uncomfortable with this next statement. I believe, answering the question, I believe a lot of people get married, especially like, so we're talking about celebrities, right? And we talk about their ego and their economic status.
Mhm.
I believe a lot of people that's not in that economic status get married for help to combine
Oh,
finances.
yeah, because it's easier. It's
It makes
definitely harder, but
life
easier.
easier a little bit.
100%, because it's not just you, right? And you also know that you always, for the most part, have somebody to lean on. Like, like even you, I mean, you pay almost everything, but if shit hit the fan, you got me, I got money, not like that, but like, okay, she could at least cover for a good 5 years. I'm not going to drown, but there's a peace of mind to that, right? Like there's a peace of mind, whether it be as a woman, knowing my husband can take care of me, or even as a husband knowing, okay, well, if shit hit the fan, my wife got me, right? Like I get that. So it's just like, and even for me, okay, Afia, like you always got to have your ducks in a row in case your husband ain't got it, right? Not like you ever not going to have it, but you get my, you get my vibe. So, yeah, absolutely. I do think, I remember we brought this up previously, our grandparents, and why our grandparents got married so young and why they stayed married so young. And a big part of that was because they needed each other to survive. They needed each other to kind of get out of their situations and get out of their socioeconomic, class and structure that they were brought into this world and to do something different, right? So, but yeah, like I think that's what it is.
Yeah, so I think people in lesser economic classes get together or get married.
For help.
Yeah, for help. Let's put it that way, as simple as it seems. And I think for those celebrities that's millionaires, they don't need to deal. I think their tolerance for
It's much less. Absolutely.
Like what?
It's the
I
same
don't
thing.
need you.
Yeah.
I got my house. I got my.
I could
can
go
pay my
get her.
own
She look
bills.
just like you.
I can get somebody who don't have money and be good. Like I'm not gonna
Yeah.
take what you say, which is unfortunate, right? Because it
And that boils down to ego. Like I said, it's ego. In my
I think
opinion.
we're saying the same thing.
Okay.
I'm saying money.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to keep it as
I think
simple
money.
as possible.
I think money, ego, class.
It's like, okay, let's say I made $100,000 a year. If I let her go out, then that's we was making 200 together. Now it's only one. Like that fear, and it's more reason for people to like want to work it out.
Yeah.
And the whole saying is cheaper to keep her, or like all that. It's different, but goes into like.
And I think rich people or wealthy people, they don't care if it's cheaper to keep her. They have the money, right? And they're not only thinking about their money in that moment, but the money that they're going to make in the future, right?
Yeah.
So even that concept is cheaper to keep her. It's like, okay, well, this is the money now, but I'm going to make, millions more. Like, it's like, and?
Yeah.
Like, and because they have so much money, their happiness or what they feel like makes them happy comes first.
Do you personally know anybody that was together for a long time and then they got married or divorced personally? I'm sure I do.
I don't know. I was gonna say Daryl, but I know he was only married for like a year, maybe a year and a half. I know year and a half tops, but I don't know how long he was with his girl for.
I'm sure I've seen it. I've seen it numerous of times, but I can't really pinpoint a
Oh, you see it
situation.
all the time.
You see it all the
You
time.
see it
Like,
all the time. It's very common. But in
big
terms of people that I actually know, first of all, everybody I know is married, still married. Like we value marriage over here. If you haven't noticed, like like
But I want to know if anybody out there, any of our subscribers, I'm sure there's people out there that want to talk about or share your experience on why you think that is. I don't think I've only been married once, so I don't have any.
anything to
I'm only
compare it
getting
to.
married once.
I
I'm only
really,
getting married once. I'm not getting married again. Only one time.
I genuinely think that it's there you go. I think it's like why settle when I can have whoever I want. Like
Well, that's celebrity. We're talking about celebrities
yeah.
here. But if you're not a celebrity, why is it that when you date, and then you get married, it's almost like, I reference this too. It's almost like health. I always say this. People be living with cancer.
As soon as
People
they
be-
find out they
People
died
be living
2
with
months.
all type of ailments.
Yeah.
Happy, best life. No sickness, they lose weight, nothing. And then as soon as they go to that doctor's visit and the doctors tell them they got cancer, they done in like 2 months.
Yeah.
They're done in
So you're saying maybe it's like the mental.
the
and
mental
stress.
and the stress that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
activates stuff because
Yeah,
that happens all the
it
time.
does.
10 years, they live it. Oh, you got this. They done in a month. They
Yeah.
gone. Like, it'd be crazy. So
He'd be like, don't tell me. I don't want to know.
I don't want to know. I was like,
They'd be like, I'm not picking up the phone.
I dread going to the doctor, but my wife forced me to go. We just had our
Annual.
annual checkups. Everything is good, but like, if I got cancer, don't let me know, man. I've been healthy. I don't have no problems.
Yeah.
I'm good. Anyway, that's
He
another
definitely
topic.
is that person. Don't tell me.
Yeah, don't tell me, man. I'm living good. I'm being good. It's all good. Anyway, let's go with our last chronicle for the day. I'll let you do it. Has to do with dating. I'm gonna say it. You feel me?
Sorry.
That's okay. Why is dating in this time, the time that we're in right now, why is dating so difficult for people or be viewed so difficult by people now? Why do you think? You always hear dating is rough out here. I truly
do.
believe it's rough out there. Like,
And I hear my female friends talk about it all the time.
why? And what reasons are they giving you? Why do you think it's so or deemed so hard, so difficult?
I don't know. I ain't never had a problem getting a man.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. You're really taking me back. I think that, people, you always talk about timing, right? You always talk about, when someone is ready to do something different, they will. So I think a lot of it is people thinking that they're ready for a relationship or wanting to be in a relationship and just choosing the streets instead. Like they're choosing, like, actually, I thought I wanted to be with you, but the streets is calling. So I really think like that's the thing when it comes to, especially like these apps. There's like every app in the world out here right now. Like, you got Tinder, you got Bumble, you got Hinge, you got Coffee Meets
they
Bagel,
really dating apps
you got
or
Raya.
Or they hookup
So
apps?
like, I don't know. I wasn't on the apps,
I've never been on a dating app.
Yeah, I've never been on a dating app, but like I think each app has a different reputation. But from what I've heard, I really just think that people.
What are you hearing?
I also feel like
that.
I also think too, like to be honest with you, like unless you're very serious and know exactly what you're looking for in a relationship, the apps are constant reminders of all your different options. It's just like Instagram, except a lot more intentional, right? Like you're like, oh, I thought I wanted to date her, but then I went on an app and I saw this new girl and me and her started chatting and, maybe actually I want to get to know her and maybe actually I want to date her, right? And so I think it's the concept of options, like consistently showing you your options and imagine every day you sign onto this app and you're seeing all your new options and it's like, oh my God, I thought I really wanted her and now I'm confused. I thought I really liked you. I thought we were building towards a relationship, but I think I'm gonna go date these 3 people first.
I agree with you. I think I mean, people say Instagram, but even before Instagram, like there was still options. I just think honestly people ain't shit.
No.
I'm gonna keep it. What you think I'm gonna do for me? I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it raw. I like to keep it real raw. I don't like to kind of like sugarcoat stuff. I think people ain't shit. I think people trick people into thinking or what they think they want. I think first of all, they tricking themselves into thinking that they want, like you said, want to be in a relationship. And I think they're just out here tricking people into thinking, for whatever reason that is. I don't think
They out here selling a dream.
Yeah, I think people don't want to be in relationships. I've talked to numerous people in the past 2 or 3 weeks that literally tell me, and this might be true, but they literally tell me that they're happy being by themselves.
Mm.
They don't want to have to deal with explaining to somebody where they at,
Yeah.
why they're coming home at this, why they want to choose the occupation that they choose, why this, why that, and they're happier just dealing with themselves.
That's deep.
I've heard it many a times.
I'm like, maybe this is the reason I don't want to go to the movies by myself.
No, that's true. You know, I understand what they mean by saying that they don't want to deal with somebody else's, have to worry about somebody else's feelings
Yeah.
and all that type of stuff, because it's a lot of work. Brings me back to our previous topic about marriage. The work that goes into that, it's selfless.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are selfish. I think, and again, this is not me trying to call y'all, it's not a bad thing. If you don't want to get in a relationship, don't.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that.
But don't waste people's time.
If you
either.
want to be in the streets, be in the streets. You want to have sex, be safe, of course. But don't put on this show to the other person. Like they say, they doing the boyfriend thing,
Yeah.
but don't want,
to be. in a
don't want a
relationship.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm gonna say it on both sides. Men don't fall for it, or women don't fall for it. It's not just the men doing this. It's women, and you hear a lot of women. You hear them on the podcast, on Instagram. They want the wifey treatment, but don't want to do the wifey work. So is hand in hand. I'm not saying one side is better than the other. I just think people aren't serious about relationships. People aren't serious about putting in the work that's needed to have a successful relationship. And for that, they rather just be out here by themselves. Again, not saying that it's wrong. If that's not what you want to do, by all means, there's a lot of people out here that's looking for that too. But don't lead somebody on in that and then want to act crazy when they want to be in a relationship or
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because then you're afraid that you're going to lose them now.
Right. And then you feel like they've been misleading you this entire time. And in most cases, like I said, I think the biggest issue now, in the dating scene, right? Mind you, we're married, is that
And I haven't been in the scene in a long time, like 10 years. And I'm happy. I tell the people who I have these conversations with, I tell them all the time, I'm so happy I don't have to date right now, because the things I'm hearing you complaining about or you dealing with, I don't want to deal with it.
I think it's much harder though, because like I said, I think whether it's the dating apps or whether it's Instagram, it's just like this daily reminder of all your options. And it's like they might be false options. They might be, false, concepts, and false representatives, false ideas of like, this idea of a relationship. But
You want to know the thing about the dating apps that I don't like? They're always going to highlight just the good.
yeah.
What are your qualities? They don't, like, they're highlighting.
Right, but it's almost like when you're applying for a job though, right? Like you're not going to go and say, these are all the bad things about myself.
No, what I'm saying is...
You're going to highlight the good. And you're going to want to show the best of yourself to the person you're dating.
But that's the problem. And we need to... That's why I've never been on the app.
Right.
I like to meet people in their natural habitat. I like to see them doing their natural thing, because you can sit back and watch somebody and you get a sense for who they are. When you go on the first day, I'll just meet some girl in the mall and I'm like, oh, let me get your number. Let's go on a date. She gonna come prepared.
Yeah.
She gonna come with, they're gonna say all the right things. Oh, what do you want? I see myself in 5 years.
That's true. I mean, you're saying basically like, I want to see the most authentic side of self.
I want to see your authentic
But I think it's almost like courting, right? Like you're dating somebody, you're courting her, you're showing her the best sides of self, right? And I think why that time is so important is because when you do show her something that you don't like, she doesn't run, or she does. The first thing she doesn't do is run, because she's gonna be, oh my God, well, he showed me all these amazing side of self for like the last 6 months or the first year, and then he does something I don't like. Okay, well, the first year or first 6 months should speak volume.
See, that's why I oppose. I want to see your bad.
Yeah.
I want to know I could handle your bad.
But
'Cause I can handle your good.
How realistic
Remember
is
the
it to
last-
show like how realistic is it
But
to
you
show
got-
the bad? You're not gonna show your bad on the first date.
No, I know. But that's why I want to court you and like go on dates, and I want to see. Again, I ask those questions, like I said previously. What's your worst trait?
Yeah.
But then I always say, I think the sooner that you have your first fight or first hiccup in the relationship, the better you could understand what you're dealing with. Like if it's like a year that we never said anything, and then all of a sudden you show this rage or this thing, and I'm like, oh, who's this person? That's why people are like, oh, I don't even know you anymore. I remember, again, I think I told this story last episode, I think, or one of the previous episodes, when we first started dating. And you kind of like went off on me on a, now you didn't really go off on me, but you kind of, and I say checked, but I don't want to go into detail about what it was.
First of all, I think a big difference is the cultural difference, right? Like
Let me
you
go.
grew
I'm
up,
going to it. Screw
he
it.
grew
I'm
up,
going to it.
no, it's okay. You don't have to. But like he grew up in Miami and I grew up in Brooklyn. So like what you deem as going off and what I deem as going off is two different
I don't think
things.
it was going off, and I don't think it was a check. He was just being real about the situation that I
Right.
was in.
Right.
And I was like, I was taken back. I was like,
But
okay.
I think that's just also, like I said, I think if you're not used to meeting people like that or dealing with people like
But
that,
I
it is
appreciated it.
right. But I think it's like a oh, okay, right, But like for me, like I'm culturally, like how I grew up or the people that I'm used to dealing with growing up, like if they're all like that, it's not like a
For me, I
not
was
like
like,
a
that's what I was like,
drawback.
oh, this is it. This is what I gotta do with. All right, cool. I could do this. Like literally, I swear to God, I said that in the moment. I was like, oh, so this is you, whatever. And I was like, all right, I could deal with this. So like, I like to get that out the way. Let me see what your thing is, and I'm like, if I can handle that and deal with that, then we should be fine. Because your best, I know what your best feels like. I know what your breast. I know what her breasts look like too, but I know what her best looks like. I'll need to know what your worst looks and feels like, and then if I can handle that, then I'm good.
I think I would just prefer to see your best first and then your worst. I don't want to see your worst first and then now you
Tomato,
trying to make
tomato, tomato,
like now you
tomato.
trying to show me your good, trying to make up for your like allow me to see the good in you so that when I do see the bad, it's like it kind of softens the blow a little bit.
Yeah, that's when. Anyway, I'll let that go. I agree with you. Well, this is your new topic.
Oh
This
yeah,
is your new topic. That's not
So-
Full Chronicles, but we have this new
segment that we're doing.
segments. There you go.
It's you guys know it's our second time doing it. It's called The Tea is Hot.
The tea is hot. What we got today
So
in the tea?
the
in
tea
the
is
pot.
yes. So you guys, I don't know if you saw, but Hallie and
Is it Haley or Haley? Is it?
is Hallie
That might be Haley because Haley and Haley. It
Haley?
might be Haley. You might be right. I think Haley is with the I. But go ahead. They know what we're talking
Hallie?
about. Go ahead.
But yeah, so I don't know if you guys saw Hallie and DDG, but DDG had their son on Kai Sense podcast without Haley's knowing,
Okay.
while she was out of town.
Okay.
And there was just a lot of uproar about, whether he was wrong or right for having their son on the show without her knowing.
I didn't see it, but what is it that you saw? What was the uproar? What were the?
Well, it
what
was
were
just
the-
more so like a consent thing. And I don't even know I don't even would say like consent as in permission, but just like awareness, conversation. Like I don't want to see my son on the internet in front of millions of people without me knowing first. And I don't think she's wrong for that. Like I don't think it was a lack of I do think it was a lack of courtesy on his end, in my opinion. I don't think it doesn't hurt to send a text. It takes 2 seconds to send a text or pick up the phone and have a conversation, just to kind of inform me, hey, my son is going to be in front of millions of people. Are you okay? No, I'm not okay with that. Okay, well, let's make arrangements so that you can go on the show and get the exposure you need without my son being in front of that type of crowd. Like, I just think it was a simple conversation that could have been had, and he didn't have that conversation for whatever reason. I think you always say people make time for the things that they want. So I don't know if it was just something that slipped his mind. But if I was in that situation with our son, I would have liked to know. Yes, like I shouldn't find out on the internet
Did
first.
the masses agree with her, or what did the masses? I
Honestly,
didn't
to
see
be
that.
honest with
Uh-huh.
you, the masses agreed with him. The masses said that, while they're co-parenting, what he does with their child while the child is in his care,
I
like
agree and disagree. Still, you guys still share a son, so all decisions should be a joint decision.
right.
When it comes, again, it's one of these situations where, again, you said the masses. So for me, I think it's one of these situations where men and women view that scenario different. It's one of those
Yeah.
things where we view it different, right? I personally think I would have been like, oh, I'm going to this interview, Kyra. I would say that.
Yeah.
Not even thinking that you would have a problem with it. You might have a problem with it,
Yeah.
but I would say it to you just so you know.
Yeah. Like
Not
awareness.
even thinking that
It
you
would
would
be
have
an
a
issue.
problem though.
Right. And like I said, like I shouldn't find out on the internet something about my son before Like the internet shouldn't know about something with my son before me. And I don't
I
think
think I
she's
don't think
wrong.
he did anything wrong.
Yeah,
Again, I don't think he did anything
I
wrong as
don't think
well.
that she's wrong for how she felt. Like I think he was wrong. I think it was
Did she make a
inconsiderate.
statement? What was her
Yeah,
statement?
she did.
What was her statement?
That she was very upset that, you know, her son was on Kaisen's show without her knowing. She's dealing with postpartum, and that she was out of town and had no idea that her son was going to be on his show. Mind you, everybody knows her son is a baby. It's
And
not
I know,
like
and what happened on did anything like what would be a situation where for you, again, I don't think there's any problem with it. So what would be a situation where that is a problem or something is not a problem, but it's not like what would be the problem with him being on the
well,
the show?
the thing is, I think on
He probably proud
Kaisen's,
wanted to show his son. Like that's
well,
probably how it was.
I think it's more so the nature of Kaisen's show. Not that it's anything bad per
That's
se.
everybody on there.
He is like the #1 streamer like in the world right now. But I think like some of the things that they do on the show, it's not always appropriate for a child, and especially in terms of like the audience. So I think that was her, you know, her side of things. Like it, you know, and also too, maybe I don't want my baby in front of millions of people today. Like
Again, I can
maybe,
understand.
you
Look,
know, like it's something you don't have to like, you know, I've learned as a mom to own how you feel. I think a lot of times, especially when you're dealing with postpartum, that people will make you feel like you shouldn't feel how you feel. It's okay. Own how you feel. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like own it. It doesn't matter if people don't agree with you. It doesn't matter if people shame you for how you feel. It doesn't matter if people disagree with you. That's your child. You carried that child for 10 months. That's okay. They can disagree with you. They didn't carry that child. That's not their baby. You know, let's moving on. Like it doesn't matter.
what is it now with even that, right? Like I think that situation, even then, could have been handled in-house, right? She could have had that conversation with
Yeah,
him.
she
Like why we feel the need
I
that we have to
guess
go out
to
and
the
make a public
internet. Right,
statement.
right. And
Like,
I
did
think
he do something
I
on
think, to be honest, it was just more so because, you know, she saw it on the internet. Like it was almost like I think it was like, okay, this is happening on the internet. Let me respond on the internet. And if I had to assume, I'm thinking maybe their communication wasn't where it needed to be because he could have simply picked up the phone and called her or shot her a text just to let her know, hey, our son is going to be on this show.
Again, on behalf of the men, again, not saying it's right or wrong. I don't think he was wrong for what he did. I don't think she was wrong for
How she
feeling
felt.
feeling
Yeah.
a way, right? Like that's your reality, and if you feel a way, cool. I just I don't see why we have to then go on the internet. I don't think she had to. She could have the same way you say like he could have picked up the phone
She
and
could have
say
picked up
she
the
could have picked
phone.
up the phone and just be like, hey, don't
But
do
that's
that again, or
right. But I
don't
think
feel comfortable.
so from the
da, da, da.
outside looking in, and obviously I'm not in their relationship. I think that their communication couldn't have been
And
where it needed to be, because for her to respond on the internet and for her to find out her son was on Kaisen's show
on the internet.
on the internet, like the internet shouldn't be the, you know, the middle ground here.
And
Like
unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with now, especially
Right.
in. I don't even think in celebrities. I think just in social
People,
media,
yeah.
people just having these public
yeah,
arguments,
yeah.
and like you said, they're not even talking to each other, which is kind of stupid. I mean, that's gonna be a next.
I
topic.
would have been upset. I'm gonna be.
I know. I mean, I deal with not even on that level, right? Like, it's certain pictures that you don't want me to post.
Oh yeah.
Of Cairo on.
I'm
and
very
again,
conscious
so that's
of
why I
my
said
son.
for me, it's just I'm showing a moment that, again, we have the need to show. I don't even know why. So I'm in that boat as well. But like, it's like my son took the first steps. It wasn't something like that, and I'm like, oh, he's taking his first steps. But I think his actions was as carefree as that. I don't think his baby was a tool in any sort.
Right.
It was as carefree
So I think
as.
to her point, right? Like, because she brought this up, was that, you know, as her job is to protect her son.
No, for sure.
And so in that moment, in some
I mean,
capacity.
so is his job, but I got you.
Right. But in that moment, in some capacity, she felt like he wasn't being protected. And like I said, whether the masses agreed with her or not, that's her son.
Yeah, for sure.
That's nobody else's son. Like, whether they agree with her or not, she didn't want him on that show. She didn't feel comfortable with him on that show. Her thoughts and opinions should have been considered in that moment as his mom. It's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like, I do. I think in my opinion, I think he made a mistake. You know, like, it's okay. We can agree to disagree here. Like, you know, we can agree. I think he should have consulted her first. And
I
like
don't
I
think
said,
it was
it's
that
not.
serious, but
It's not necessarily even like a permission thing as much as it is like, hey, like I shouldn't find out on the internet my son is in front of millions of people, like, at all. Like, I, you know, and I think I also understand that because like he said, I'm very self-conscious of my son on the internet. Like even I turn down jobs or like I won't go to certain premieres. You know, I don't want to use my son as this, you know, I never want to feel like if I don't promote my son that I can't make money. And so I never want to put myself in a position to feel that way. Like, oh, you know, not necessarily from a place of exploiting him, but I want to covet him. I want to protect him. Like, you know, I'm going to share what I want to share of him on the internet. And I'm also just, I know how cruel the internet could be. Like you guys ate me alive last week, okay? For saying that I didn't know people go to the movies by themselves, right? Like imagine, I'm gonna be honest, I can't handle that if that you guys are talking about my son, right? Like I can't, like I emotionally, like, and I would never want to put him in that position for people to attack him in that capacity. And I understand how cruel and ruthless the internet could be, right? And so imagine I don't have nearly the following Halle has. Like she is beyond a celebrity at this point, right? And so you know, I don't want, I can't even imagine, I'm sorry, I can't even fathom like how she feels. If I feel how I feel about my son on a smaller scale, like the millions of people that always have something to say about her and her son and her relationship, it's just a lot. Like I don't want to put my son through that. Like I really don't. And if that means, you know, I have to be conscious about the pictures I post, you post, if I have to say, hey baby, take that down, I'm gonna say that. And not because I'm trying to offend you, but because I want to protect him. Right. And I think from her perspective, maybe she felt the same way. You know, I don't know if it had anything to do with, you know, controlling the actions that DDG did as much as it had to do with protecting her son, especially in front of millions of people. He's the #1 streamer in the world. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Got you. Well, you know, we talked about the tea. We stirred the
stirred the pot.
Stirred the pot just a little bit. But I think that's our time for today.
Yes. So thank you guys for tuning in to Couples Chronicles with
your boy Lloyd
and Afia. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share.
See you guys next time. Peace.